You're listening to The Pulse on AMI Audio. I'm Grant Hardy. DeafBlind Awareness Month is designed to help Canadians develop not only an understanding of, but also a comfort with the people in their communities who happen to be deaf-blind. And today we're speaking with CNIB's Sherry Grabowski, VP of Deaf-Blind Community Services, and Sheena Hill, Manager of Client Engagement. And we're talking about the Growing Understanding campaign, as well as just many of the specialized supports and services available through CNIB's Deaf-Blind Community Services. Sherry and Sheena, welcome to The Pulse. Really excited to talk to both of you.
Thanks, Grant. It's wonderful that we've been invited to talk about this great event that is happening over June. So thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely. And thank you for coming on. I just wanted to start by getting both of you to talk a little bit about your roles at DeafBlind at CNIB and what inspires you to do the work that you do.
I can go first, Grant. It's Sherry Grabowski. Within my role as Vice President, I oversee the operations for Deafblind Community Services in Ontario, Saskatchewan, and now BC. Really, I think the difference it makes in someone's life, the services that we provide, really has been something that's inspired me in my work because I get a chance to see how our work is in action and the difference that it makes to ensure that somebody has their full independence and that really that they feel that they can live a life like you and I. They just need a little additional support, which our intervener services and skills development programs offer to our specific clients.
Brilliant. And absolutely, just having those services to break down barriers can really make or break the ease and accessibility of your life, just doing things that everyone else does. Sheena, do you want to chime in here and talk a little bit about the work you do?
Yes, of course. Thank you. As the client engagement manager, my role encompasses all aspects of client involvement and experiences. This includes overseeing our emergency intervener services program, leading initiatives related to DeafBlind Awareness Month, coordinating client focus groups, surveys, and managing client concerns that have kind of escalated beyond our management level. I also support the development and delivery of client-related programming, training, and gatherings. A key part of my role is ensuring that clients have a strong voice in shaping their services, their preferences, and gathering their feedback and reflecting that in our actively in our planning. For example, our clients expressed a desire for bringing back barbecues and celebratory events, and we've responded by organizing a client barbecue, which is happening tomorrow across Ontario, BC, and Saskatchewan, and along with that, planning for a holiday party in December. What inspires me, I'm inspired by all the small moments that have a big impact. When a client feels truly heard, when they express the joy in the gatherings that we've helped create, or when we share their experiences and know that their voice is being heard. I'm just also driven by the strong belief in inclusion and equality, and everyone deserves a life full of dignity, autonomy, and a meaningful connection. I'm just proud to be part of a team and organization that works every day to make that a reality for our deafblind community.
Definitely the importance of those community events, just a barbecue, a holiday event, really can't be understated. So that is amazing that the community is engaging with those as well. And thank you for sharing more about your role. So I wanted to ask what it means to experience both vision and hearing loss. What exactly does it mean to be deafblind?
It's Sheena speaking. Deafblindness is a combination of both hearing and vision loss that affects a person's ability to communicate, access information, and move around independently. This does not always mean total blindness or complete deafness. The degree of loss can vary greatly from person to person. So someone who is deafblind may have difficulty understanding spoken or signed language, rely on touch or other senses to communicate, need the support for daily activities and mobility, and use special tools like Braille, screen readers, hearing aids, and communication device. because those two main senses for receiving information are affected. People who are deafblind often require unique supports and services tailored to their specific needs to live independently and fully participate in the world around them.
And Sheena, would you say it's fair that for the needs of everybody are pretty unique? Like one person might use only a braille display, but maybe also a little bit of hearing, but not for reading, or somebody else would use, like everybody would use slightly different tools depending on how their senses are present and interact.
Absolutely. And it can vary from day to day. Maybe someone's having a worse day than another day. So like it's such a vast variety of ways that they communicate and when and how. So it definitely is, one does not fit all. One size does not fit all.
So let's talk about DeafBlind Awareness Month and what CNIB is doing to honor the occasion here.
So DeafBlind Awareness Month takes place every June in Canada, officially recognized by the federal government back in 2015. It's a time to celebrate the contributions, the resilience, and the unique experience of people who are deafblind, while also raising awareness about the barriers they face, the supports that they need to thrive. The month was chosen in honor of Helen Keller, one of the most well-known advocates for the deafblind community. She was born in June. Her legacy continues to inspire the action and understanding around the world. So this year, for Deafblind Community Services, we are doing a mix with celebrations, advocacy, and education. The Growing to Understanding campaign is an initiative using gardening in the community, such as art. It's kind of around the same lines as the yarn bombing, and with planting flowers, which symbolizes connection, growth, and support for people who are deafblind. Our community events, from school presentations, community fairs, and client celebrations, DBCS has been hosting inclusive events that bring people together to raise awareness and highlight the talents and voices of the individuals who are deafblind. We've been doing yarn installations in public spaces where they're decorated with colorful knitted or crocheted art, often partnership with clients, families, local artists, a joyful, tactile way to promote inclusion and spark conversation about dual sensory loss. And we've also been doing advocacy and storytelling throughout June. DBCS has shared stories, facts, personal experiences across social media, newsletters, community channels to help Canadians better understand what it means to live with deafblindness and how they can help build more of an accessible country.
So I just want to dive into a few of these here. This is really interesting, a growing understanding campaign that really intersects gardening with awareness. I'm just curious, I guess, like where did the idea come from, and how do you feel that gardening, awareness, hopefully changing and increasing accessibility for people who are deafblind, how do those kind of intersect, you know?
The idea came from myself a couple years ago. I was given the task to think of something fresh, something new. And I toggled with a bunch of ideas, and I don't know how it came to be, but I thought of, planting a seed. So planting information to someone and letting it grow and nurturing it. It's the same concept as, go out there, we spread that awareness, we plant that information in someone and see how it grows, see how they spread it, and they connect that with the world around them. Just watching it grow and flourish and growing the awareness and watching that, spread throughout people who may never have known what deafblind means, and just having a better understanding. I think that's part of it. And then also there's the senses aspect. So you can feel garden, you can smell gardens, you can, if it's something in the garden that makes a sound. So there's different senses related to the garden as well that kind of ties it all together.
It's really cool. I totally dig it, especially, looking at, kids especially, I think, who have either a single sensory loss or multiple. being in a garden, like even just thinking, learning where your food comes from, and experiencing things growing, how it feels, the change in feel from day to day. I think that's very, I don't know. I think that is really a critical part of learning, isn't it?
Absolutely. And there's different, it doesn't have it, the gardens can look so many different ways. The kids can get involved. It could be a rock garden. It could be something fun that they do different things with rocks or different materials they've painted in nature. Like it doesn't have to be just a flower. It could be a herb garden. You can touch, you can feel, you can taste. So all those different aspects can be put into these gardens that help symbolize what it means, but also it's something that you can experience. Anyone can experience, regardless what maybe a disability you might have or what senses you might have. So it's something that everybody can experience.
Amazing. And the idea is for people to do some planting in their community and raise awareness, whether on social media or just kind of in their groups of people who are coming by looking at the garden. Like the idea is to kind of raise awareness with the wider community.
Absolutely.
Is that the idea? Yeah.
Right. And it could be anybody. It could be at your home. It could be in a small business. On our website, we offer a free printable sign that can be put in your garden so that, that you're partnering with DBCS to raise awareness about what is deafblindness. So we do offer that if anybody wanted to put that in their garden as well.
Fantastic. I want to talk about yarn bombing. This is a really cool one too, and also very, again, very tactile and multisensory. Can you tell me a little bit about that? What that even is for someone who's maybe never seen or felt it?
So yarn bombing is either knitted or crocheted pieces of art. It could be squares. It could be flowers. It could be anything that's been created through yarn. And it's attached to public spaces. So it could be trees, benches, fences, lamps, or lamp posts, really anything. And what it does is it sparks conversation. It's bright. It draws attraction. So people want to go and say, what is this? What is it for? And there's signs that we have that's up that explains what it is. But it gets people talking. What is it? And the first off, just the look of it draws the attention. And then once we get their attention, it's what is it? And why, what does this mean? So the yarn bombing is more about, the tactile art, being able, you can feel it, but you can also, it makes people ask questions.
Yeah, 100%. And just if you could talk about some of the other activities that are taking place this month. I know you mentioned specifically some storytelling, kind of stories, sharing stories from the community. I'm really curious to hear more about a little bit more about that.
We've had some stories. Maybe Sherry, do you want to take this piece? Maybe some of the stories that we've had in BC.
Yes, we've had definitely some stories that have been shared with some of our clients in BC who for years did not have services, and now there are services, intervener services in BC. So talking about kind of their journey and how that's changed their life now to have these types of intervener services right in their own community. I think the other area around stories that are really, really important are the stories of our clients within the presentations that Sheena and the clients made in the classrooms with the children as well. That it's really important that our younger generation as well know about deafblindness and know basically that this person who's in front of them, who has no vision or no hearing, is doing very well, is there at the school, is presenting to them, may have a guide dog, may not have a guide dog, but with the assistance of their intervener, they're able to communicate in that classroom and talk about, again, their story in particular. So, our best ambassadors of our services certainly are our clients and people who have that lived experience.
Kids are an amazing demographic for presenting, for giving, providing disability advocacy too, because I feel like kids are just the most open. As adults, you kind of learn or tell people, shut it down, don't ask questions, but kids are just super open and excited. You've kind of answered this, Sherry, but maybe if you wanted to add anything else, just the importance, the critical importance of, raising awareness and disability advocacy before people reach adulthood, but when they're kids.
I think the biggest thing for our organization is that there is a shortage of trained and skilled interveners. And for us to reach the younger generation, whether it's in primary school, or whether it's in secondary school, or whether it's in the various college programs, it's important for us to continue to let those groups of individuals know that this is a potential career path for them. That this is a great job. This is what the job looks like. This is what the career path looks like, and really encourage people to think about becoming an intervener as they go through their decision making for what career path they want to take.
So many of these things: vision teachers, mobility instructors, interveners. You can get yourself a really amazing career and work with people, but I guess it's just not really commonly talked about, like at those job fairs, whatever it is. So that's a big part of raising awareness then for you guys, is just teaching people how they could get involved themselves.
Exactly.
People who don't have disabilities.
Exactly.
With over 466,000 Canadians having some type of dual sensory loss, like vision and hearing, where are things standing in Canada right now in terms of that awareness about deafblindness?
I think where things are standing right now are throughout Canada is that it's again, we've talked a little bit about the services we provide and how unique they are, and that there are those unique barriers to your various functions or events that you may want to participate in the community if you're deafblind. And access to intervener services is not currently in all of our provinces in Canada, unfortunately. So for our organization, we provide that service in Ontario and BC and Saskatchewan. But there are other provinces that have another service provider who would provide service as well. But there's many provinces in this country where there are no services for people who are deafblind, and I think that is a challenge, and I think that definitely is a barrier moving forward. Even in the provinces where we do have intervener services, there's not enough. People would like more hours to be able to do everything they want to do on a daily basis. So for many of us, if we want to go to the theater, or if we want to go to the grocery store, we would do that. And it's just a little bit more challenging for somebody who's deafblind, and they may have to wait, days before they can actually walk down to their grocery store or attend a medical appointment. So it is still somewhat restricted as to the amount of hours an individual has per week. And it would just be wonderful to see the services offered throughout every province in Canada, and the amount of hours that people want to be able to access everything they want on a daily basis.
When we talk about intervener services, I think maybe people might have a little bit of an idea what an intervener does, but could you walk us through how people would even get that kind of service, and what an intervener would do for someone who's deafblind?
An intervener, the best way for us to kind of describe it is an intervener is somebody who I like to call a communication facilitator. It's somebody who facilitates communication between the hearing and sighted person to the person who is deafblind. And sometimes we refer to that as an intervener who is the eyes and ears for somebody who has both vision and hearing loss. The best way for me to describe what an intervener is to give you an idea if you were going to a medical appointment, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And so an intervener would come to your home, if that's what you choose, would guide you to the car, would drive you to that medical appointment, would guide you into the medical office, and would give you a visual of what's or what the medical reception area looks like. So you might say that there's 5 people in the waiting room right now. And then when you have to go up to that window to talk to the receptionist, again, the intervener will help with that communication between that receptionist, because the chances of them knowing sign language or two-hand manual or how to communicate with somebody who's deafblind would be minimal. And so we would help with that communication. And then, of course, once you get into the medical appointment, the conversation between the patient and the doctor as well would be communicated in whatever format that client uses. So our interveners are extremely skilled and talented, that they need to know all forms of communication. So as I said, we do use American Sign Language. We do hand over hand, where somebody might hold our hands as we use that American Sign Language so they feel the signs and know what we're saying. We might use two-hand manual, which again is a communication just used on the palm and tips of your hand, and it's spelling out exactly what's being said. There'd be print on palm again, which is spelling out what might be said in the conversation. There's voiceover for people who have still some residual hearing, where the conversation would be voiced over in the ear that still has that remaining hearing. So it's a quite unique position, as I said earlier, and it really best summarized as a communication facilitator.
It's incredibly. I mean, I was going to say it's just really cool how the intervener service works, but that's understating it. It's really just absolutely life-changing and really critical to have access to that. It was so interesting that Saskatchewan joined up with Ontario for providing funding for those specialized services. What does that mean to have access to that funding, and how do we get that expanded into more of the country?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, and I think we're going on our third or fourth year, maybe our fourth year in Saskatchewan of having the funding. We currently have 14 clients. We provide services, so we have interveners who provide services in Saskatoon, and then we also provide services in Regina. We're currently also reaching out to the northern end of that province, and are identifying other people who could utilize our services. So right now it's more of an educational a platform that we're using to really let people know that we are providing these services in Saskatchewan. But it's really opened the door for our clients, of course. Now they can be involved in their community centers. They can be, independent and go shopping on their own. They can go for walks on their own. They don't have to rely on friends and family. They can do more things independently.
Can you talk a little bit about how interveners intersect with emergency services? What sort of emergency services would an intervener provide?
We're very fortunate in Ontario that the provincial government does provide funds for us to be able to provide emergency services. And that's anything from a fire, if you had a fire in your home, if you have an emergency medical appointment that you need to be rushed to the emergency department at the hospital. It could be police related. So it could be anything that would be seen as an emergency within the community. We're very fortunate. It's a 24-hour service, 24/7 service. It's managed currently by a call center where a client would contact the call center, who would then find an intervener to meet them at the hospital or to ensure that they get to their home if it's a fire, to be able to help with that communication between the fire department and the client. So that's a really important service that we do have here specifically in Ontario.
So that would be something where you would just have a client would either be registered or just have that awareness. They'd have the number and they just utilize that whenever necessary.
That's correct, Grant. That's a good point. Yes, they have a 1-800 number. It's fully accessible, texting, email, so they can send in that message. And they have to be registered in our program. So when the call center pulls up that client's name in particular, all the information comes up, where their address is and how to contact them and any medical issues they may have in that. And then we have an interactive map that we can then see where are the closest interveners to be able to go to that hospital or the police station or wherever that emergency is occurring.
Brilliant. Fantastic service provided in Ontario. Just curious for either of you, what are your hopes, for the future? What could happen next that would make Canada more accessible to individuals who are deafblind?
I can answer that. It's Sheena speaking. I think we hope to see that Canada continues moving forward for a future of accessibility, that human right is not a nice to have. For the deafblind community, it means creating a society where communication, connection, and independence are fully supported at every level.
If there was one thing that you wish Canadians knew about deafblindness, what would that be?
I think the biggest thing for me, I can answer first, Sheena, is I think the biggest thing for me is to know that individuals or people who are deafblind are just like you and I. They may need some extra support, like I said earlier, through our intervener services, but they want to be as involved in our community as anybody. And they should have the right to be able to be part of that community whenever they want and for how many hours they want. That would be, I guess, if I had a dream, Grant, moving forward for our organization in particular, it would be great if our services were in every province in Canada and that we had so much funding that we could offer clients all the hours that they want throughout the day or week.
Sheena, is there anything you'd like to add on to that?
I would agree with Sherry. That's our hope. The big picture is that there's no Canadian that goes without having services that they have the right to. They should have, if they need the services, they have the right to have them, and there should be the services available for them. So that would be the goal, is that we hope that one day that will be our future.
Honestly, that's just so important to understand about people with disabilities is literally they just want to do the same things that anybody else does. They're just like any other Canadian with the right support and the right tools. Sherry and Sheena, I want to thank you not only for the services that you're helping to provide for the community of people who are deafblind in Canada, but also for coming on The Pulse to chat with us today.
Thanks for having us, Grant.
Thank you so much.
The Pulse airs on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1:30 p.m. Eastern on AMI Audio, repeating every 6 hours. And you can also check out the show on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Grant Hardy. Thanks so much for listening.